Hey everybody, it's Ben Murphy here with the Deuce Kirk team at Keller Williams in Greater Lexington. In today's video of Living in Lexington, we're going to do a continuation of our pros and cons series. So, today I'm going to talk to you about the pros and cons of living in Richmond, Kentucky. Now, I know there's tons and tons of things about Richmond, Kentucky that could be considered pros and cons. So, we're going to talk about the pros first, which I think is actually a really big pro. And some people may not think so, but that's me. So, I think the fact that pro number one, Eastern Kentucky University, home is Richmond, Kentucky, I think is a pro. And it's a unique college town. It's a little bit different than maybe, say, the University of Kentucky, which has like 30,000 students. Eastern Kentucky's only got about like 19,000 students. So it doesn't necessarily maybe have that same college town type feel, but it also creates a fun cultural atmosphere. And, Eastern Kentucky football has a rich history of good athletics, strong ROTC program. So I still think Eastern Kentucky is a great pro for having its location in Richmond, Kentucky. I know it's a good employment for the community. And so I'm a big fan of Eastern Kentucky. Go Colonels. My mom was a Colonel back in the day, and she has nothing but great things to say about the school itself. Now, the second pro that I think is very, very important when it comes to choosing a location to potentially live and move to, Richmond, Kentucky has a low cost of living, and that goes along with the type of homes. I've shown people a $300,000 home in Lexington taken to a $300,000 home in Richmond, and it's a noticeable difference. Square footage, the type of house, how new it is, if it's a new construction, like just all around, you could tell there's a difference when it comes to quality and where you get more for your money. And you can go online and actually do some research. Statistically, it is shown that your grocery bills are a little bit cheaper, your gas bills cheaper, everything's just a little bit cheaper in the Richmond, Kentucky area. And so there are tons of new constructions that are going off all the time in Richmond. And so it's definitely worthwhile to do a little bit more research just for that cost of living standpoint. And the fact that the school system's actually pretty good, it's definitely worthwhile just for that one pro by itself. Now, this pro number three, ladies and gentlemen, I consider it a pro because once you live in a big city and you're surrounded by hundreds of thousands of people day in, day out, you can want to get some little bit of space. And Richmond definitely has that feel, that small town feel. You can say it's a small town. It's only got 37,000 technical residents that live in Richmond, Kentucky, compared to the 300,000 that live in Lexington. So it's definitely small compared to Lexington, but there are even smaller towns. Versailles, I know, has 9,000 people. Winchester, Kentucky's rocking right around the 19,000 people mark. So just know that it's a smaller town compared to the big cities, which I think is a pro. It can be a con, but like I said, there are new constructions going on all the time. So Richmond is technically growing. It may be taking a little bit of a time for it to grow, but I do see the town itself getting relatively bigger in the next 20, 30 years. So just be on the lookout for that. Pro, it's definitely got that small town feel, which helps with that cost of living that I just talked about a second ago. So you definitely got to, think of it from that perspective. Small town could be a con for some people. They may want to live in a big city with 300,000 people. And if that's the case, great. You need to come check out Lexington, Kentucky. But if you're looking for something just a little bit smaller, Richmond, Kentucky's got you covered. Now, I've mentioned it before. Richmond, Kentucky is actually right next door to Lexington, which is, 30 minutes. I mean, it's close enough. Let me tell you, I was a bar back in a pub in Richmond, Kentucky, and I went to school at University of Kentucky and lived in Lexington. So it is close enough. It's close enough if you want to live in Lexington or live in Richmond, work in Lexington. It's definitely doable. You've got a great highway system that takes you straight from Richmond to Lexington. So, you definitely have that access if you really, really want it. So if you're thinking about trying to find a spot, if you're working, you're moving your family to the area you want to live in, you want to work in Lexington, but not necessarily live in Lexington, there's options. There's tons and tons of options that are affordable and actually make good sense. So again, if you're trying to get a little bit outside of the city. Richmond, Kentucky is definitely a town you've got to check out because of the fact it does have the Eastern Kentucky University. It's a little bit smaller town, but it's got great culture, great aspects about it. So, short drive to Lexington if you really, really want to have all that crazy entertainment, but you want to live on the outside and not be a part of it completely. Richmond's definitely got that. The final pro that I'm going to tell you a little bit about Richmond, Kentucky is a little bit unique. It's a short drive to some really cool outdoor activities. Some of those outdoor activities include Cumberland Falls State Park, the Cumberland Gap National Historic Park, Daniel Boone Forest is not too far away. The Natural Arc Scenic Area, the Red River Gorge is a fantastic little spot. So if you're an outdoorsy adventure, want to go explore type of person, Richmond's really close to a lot of options for you. So you're not far from the country when you live in Richmond. I mean, it's 5 minutes, you're there. So that, I think, is an actual pro. And again, if you're a big city person, you like being surrounded by city, you like being surrounded by people, Lexington's got you covered. But Richmond isn't that. It's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit on the outskirts. So that way, if you want to escape into some different adventure type of activities, Richmond definitely is in that line of track if that's something that's important to you. Hey everybody, before we continue, please do me a huge favor. Hit that like button. It actually helps people who are researching about Richmond, Kentucky, learn a little bit more about the area, especially if they don't live in Lexington or in the Kentucky area in general. It just does a decent job of helping them do a little bit more research. So I appreciate it. Let's get back to it. Talk a little bit about the cons. There are cons no matter where you live, ladies and gentlemen. And the one that kind of sticks out to me the most, which is kind of significant in the area, not just in Richmond, we can have some pretty bad winters. I'm not kidding about that. Now, it's a little bit different than maybe if you're from the north, what that means. North, you're going to get tons and tons and tons of snow. In Kentucky, you're going to get some snow, but a lot of it freezes, it melts, it freezes again, you get slush, and it can just be chaos at some points. I remember 2 winters ago, we got hit with a real nasty ice storm. You had ice like that thick on your car. I mean, I was stranded for the first day. I mean, I told my boss, I went outside, I worked on my car for 3 hours just trying to get the door open, let alone get it started. So just know that once every 4 or 5 years, we're going to have a real nasty winter. On average, the winters are manageable, but they can be an eyesore for people. We do get fall, and the fall's great. The summers, the humidity can kill you. I mean, it can really get to you. It's like walking outside into a sauna. I mean, you're just sweating at that point. It'll be 90 degrees, but it'll feel like 105 just from the humidity. And that's what makes it so unique living in this area. And Richmond's no different. So just be ready for that. Now, I talked about bad weather. Con number 2 kind of bleeds into that. We can get some real bad allergies. And allergy season can affect some people, especially if you're not from Kentucky. That first season will probably hit you hard. So just be prepared for that. One thing that I try to do is it gets me from the winter going into the springtime. I'll lose my voice. I can barely talk, and it hurts to breathe, So just be ready to stock up on some like Mucinex, some medicine. Just be ready to go, because once that allergy season hits you, it just gets rough. Your nose will run and all that fun jazz. So that's just kind of like a warning for you. If you prep for it, you'll be okay. But if you're not ready for it, it'll catch you off guard and you won't know what to do with it. So the final con that I'm going to talk about, it kind of bleeds back into what I was saying before about Richmond. It's a small town. There's no real big mall. There's, I guess, not a lot to do if you're not an outdoorsy person. So that's my con. If you're not outdoorsy, you're not adventurous, Richmond may not be the spot for you. It really may not be the best location for you. If you don't like that smaller town feel, you don't like, going out for adventures, finding stuff to do, Richmond's going to be a little rough for you. It's got a little bit of shopping now. It doesn't have a major mall. It doesn't have Fayette Mall like Lexington does. So just know that, like, week in, week out, I mean, you're going to have struggle sometimes to find some things to do. Now, that's not saying there's nothing to do in Richmond. Richmond's got stuff to do. Like I said, it's got Eastern Kentucky on on site. So college football season is always a big time in that area. So there are things to do, but there may be outdoorsy, things that you may, if you're not into that stuff, then you're going to struggle. So just make sure that you understand that Richmond, yes, 37,000 people, it's got a college on site. It's still growing though, so maybe in the next 10 to 15 years we might see some more stuff added into the Richmond, Kentucky area. But again, it could be a con for right now for those who love living in the big city and finding things to do outside of, the city part. So just wanted to make sure you all understood that. Like what you've seen so far, well, then do me another favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Deuce Kirk team, we actually cover all surrounding areas of living in Lexington, and whenever we post a new video, you will be notified about that. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching the video, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate it. I really appreciate all the likes and the comments that we have received in the past videos. It's very, very hard to start a new channel, and so getting on here and putting them out there, it definitely does take a little bit of work, but we do enjoy it. We do appreciate everything that you all have done to help and share the videos with your friends and family. And I want to make sure you be on the lookout for more pros and cons videos. We will continue to do more of the surrounding areas of the cities that surround us: Frankfort, Midway, Versailles, Georgetown. We've already posted some of those, so make sure you go check them out. If you are researching and thinking about moving to the area, you might learn something you didn't know before. So be on the lookout. Like I said, the Deuce Kirk team, we're here to do everything we can, and maybe we'll find that perfect spot in one of those towns right next to Lexington. It might be perfect for you and your family. Need help moving to Lexington? Already here and tired of paying a landlord's rent? Need to sell your home first? Well, don't worry. Deuce Kirk team's got you covered. Leave us a comment. Shoot me a quick email. We'll set you up a free consultation with the Deuce Kirk team, and we'll make this process as smooth and painless as possible. So feel free to reach out with any questions. We look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for watching.